Hey guys, welcome to the WalterFootball.com After Dark show for May 18th, 2023. It's Wildcard Wednesdays in the summer, so we're not talking about football today. Sorry for no episode yesterday. I couldn't stop coughing. It was just so brutal. It was a mess. Like I couldn't even do a show because I was coughing like every 2 minutes. But I think I'm better now. Hopefully, there aren't too many interruptions. Still coughing a little bit. I caught something from my son, which is like, if you're a parent, you learn that you're gonna catch a lot from your kids. But yeah, I thought on this Wildcard Wednesday, since last week we did TV shows, we talk about Magic the Gathering, which is for those of you who don't know, and I'm probably gonna like lose some people like what is this? Magic the Gathering is a card game. Very quickly, it's a card game where you try to reduce your opponent's life total from 20 to 0, and you do that by playing lands, which allows you to cast spells and cast creatures and attack your opponents with creatures. I've been playing this game since like I was like 13 or so, or 14, something like that. And the game has been out since 1993. So I've been playing since the very beginning. And like some of you may have heard of like the card, the Black Lotus. It's worth like $300,000 or something like that. I swear to God, I had a Black Lotus when I was a kid and I can't find it anywhere. Like I've searched in my closet like 5 times. It's nowhere to be found. I don't know if someone stole it when I was a kid or if I lost it or I foolishly traded it away for a dumb card. But I swear I had one in my collection. I do not, unfortunately, anymore. I have some good cards, but still, like, I don't know. I have the Black Lotus. But anyway, I'm here with Body Burner, who is a longtime poster on the forums back when we had forums. And now, he's one of my best friends, and we play Magic all the time. So I thought, like, who better to have on than Body Burner to discuss Magic, and thought we'd get into the new set. So, Body Burner, who are you? And thanks for coming on.
Yeah, happy to be here. Real name Dave. Yeah, been on the forums for a long time. Also been playing Magic probably not as long as you. Probably 99 I started playing, and then took a break, and then got back into it probably whenever Theros came out. What was that, like 6 or 7 years ago now?
Oh, it's longer than that. I think I think it came out 2014.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but like you said, it's just we're gonna have some fun talking about it tonight. I'm not sure how many folks will actually want to hear us talk about it, but we'll have fun.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into the new set. For those of you who don't know, it coming out with a new set like every 3 months or so. There are side sets as well, but like the main sets are like once every 3 months. So I thought we'd talk about the new cards and like we'd get into other conversations about Magic. So it's a great game. I highly recommend anyone who wants to get into these sort of games to try it out. And if you play already, my screen name on MTGO is SWS Walter. So feel free to add me. And I've actually had it feels like every time I mention Magic the Gathering on the website, I'll get one person emailing me saying, "Hey, I didn't know you play Magic. Do you play online?" I'm like, "Yeah, my screen name is SOS Walter on MTGO." And one of two things happens. Like one, they're like, "Oh, do you have Arena?" I'm like, "No way, I'm getting that crap." Second, like sometimes they add me, and I've actually played games against some readers, so it's been pretty cool. So definitely feel free to add me, and then if you want, we could play some Commander online. That's pretty much what I do now. But yeah, before we get into it, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. All that would help us out a lot. Tomorrow, Jacob Kamiker is going to be on. We're going to be talking about the week 1 NFL spreads. But for tonight, thought we'd get into the set review of March of the Machine, the Aftermath. So this is a set that's like pretty small. There are no common cards in this set, which is weird. It's only uncommon, mythics, and rares. And there's like 5 cards per pack. So I don't know how they're doing selling wise. But I thought there were some interesting cards in this set. So I thought we'd go over all the mythics and the rares and only a couple of uncommons. There were a few that I thought were had potential for either Commander or Modern. So okay. Let's get into it. So the first one, Actually, it's an uncommon, and I think this is going to see play in modern in one set in one deck. It's called Copper Coat Vanguard. It says it's a 2/2 human soldier for 2. Each other human you control gets +1/+0 and ward 1, which is gets counter if a spell or ability counters or targets it. It gets countered unless that controller pays 1. So humans plays Unsettled Mariner, which is it's the same thing, 2/2 for 2. It gives ward 1, but it does not give +1/+0. So this is just a strict upgrade. It's easier to cast. So I feel like humans is definitely going to play this in modern. Not that humans is a great deck anymore, like Fury and Solitude have kind of destroyed it. But for those of you who still play humans in modern, you could definitely play this. And Dave, I know you play slivers a lot. Like if
I do.
If this were a sliver, if it just said slivers, you control get +1/+0 and ward 1. I assume you definitely would have it in your commander deck.
No, definitely. It's actually funny you bring up like the tribal decks, because I was watching a video like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, about modern slivers, and how like the fusion sliver and Unsettled Mariner, because it's actually a changeling, so that's in slivers too. Make it half decent in modern, because it's funny you mentioned Solitude and Fury, but when you can't play them for free, it makes them like strictly worse. Obviously. No, so I think it's actually a really good card. I'm not sure, like you said, how playable humans is, but it is a strict upgrade over Unsettled Mariner. I think it's cool though. I didn't realize they named that ability Ward.
Yeah, that's something they've done recently. The only modern deck I currently have right now that I play sometimes is like a red white, splashes green or splashes black, depending on what I feel like doing. And it has like 4 Furies and 4 Solitudes, and it tries to ephemerate them. And every time I play a tribal deck like humans, I'm like, yes, this is easy win, easy 2-0. Just because like those cards destroy their board. So that's what really killed humans. I feel like humans used to be almost a tier 1 deck, but now it doesn't see play. But this helps a little bit. Ward is a good ability to have, and maybe even given like how brutally Fury and Solitude kill humans, maybe they'll play this and Unsettled Mariner. I could see that happening.
Yeah, that's why I think why that video came out with slivers, because it's Diffusion Sliver and Unsettled Mariner. So you get like paying 3 extra for Solitude. It's still a good card, obviously, but it's just not heating mana up. I think kind of breaks the strategy of why you have that card in your deck.
Yeah, I mean, free spells are definitely a great thing. It's if you make a free spell cost something, it gets a lot worse.
Yeah, I feel like right now I'm trying to explain like why Patrick Mahomes is good. Like it's just good to have a free spell. Like it's pretty simple.
You know what is a good exercise, and I heard this from Aspiring Spike, who I think is the best MTG streamer. Like he's up there with Saffron Olive. I think those two are the best. He made a point. He's like, think about any card in modern. If you add 1 more mana to it, it becomes unplayable. Like Lightning Bolt becomes Lightning Strike.
Yeah,
right. It doesn't even see play in modern.
No.
Does
Lightning Bolt even see play?
Well, I mean, it used to a lot. Now it sees less play. I mean, people still play it.
I'm so out of the modern meta. I have no idea. Like, I'm pretty much the only commander at this point.
It used to be the #1 played card in modern. That wasn't a land, and now I don't know where it is now, but it's definitely not even close to #1. Like think about all the free spells that do the same thing, basically. But it's still a good card. And I like think about Tarmogoyf, it's a 3 mana spell. Like the Liliana becomes a 4 mana spell. Etc. Just think about every single card in modern and add 1 more to it. It just becomes unplayable. So that's just how good this ward ability is. So especially with all the free spells. Deification. This is an enchantment. It's 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, choose a planeswalker type. So either Jace or Teferi, etc. Planeswalkers you control of the chosen type have hexproof. As long as you control a creature, if damage dealt to a planeswalker you control of the chosen type would result in all loyalty counters being removed. Instead, remove all but one of these counters. I don't like this card sucks. I don't even know what to say about this. Like I used to run a Super Friends deck in Commander. And I would never play this. Like even if my deck had to be 300 cards, I don't think so. This would make the cut.
I don't think it's 300 card bad, but it's not. When you were describing it, it seemed very fringe. Like you have to really force this to work, and I don't think it's good enough to force it. Because you have to choose. It's not all planeswalkers. It's just the type. So are you going to make a Johnny deck? You know what I mean? Like you'd have to have like 5 or 6, probably more than that, of that planeswalker type to make this worth it. So
Yeah,
you're running like one Elspeth.
Right. I mean, that's the problems. Like there are like 2 good Teferis in white. So you're not going to run this with only 2 Teferis in your deck.
Right.
There are a couple good Elspeths. You're not going to only run with a couple Elspeths. Like maybe in
this
the
is all planeswalkers got hexproof, it'd be jammed in.
Oh
Or
yeah,
all
yeah.
planeswalkers. Let's go back to the other card. If all planeswalker got Ward 1 or whatever, like which is you'd probably play this, but just to have to name a planeswalker type is awkward.
Right. That's the problem here is like maybe in the future, like 20 years down the line, if there are like 10 good Elspeths, you could like jam this in. But right now, just to protect 2 planeswalkers, I just don't think this makes the cut. Like,
Yeah.
if this had when this enters the battlefield, make a 1/1 soldier. I would definitely play this because you could blink it and stuff like that. There are planeswalkers who blink stuff or bounce stuff. You could replay
And if you
it.
blink it, you could change the name.
Right.
What
Exactly.
was important to the board at the time.
Exactly right. But this by itself, it just does nothing. It's a 2 mana do nothing. And chances are you're not even going to have the planeswalkers on the battlefield for it to protect. So like that's why I said like I would just never play this card. I wouldn't even think like
and if you're playing Super Friends and again mostly Commander, you're trying to like doubling seasons planeswalker win. Like this doesn't seem like what is this doing for you? Just
Yeah, I don't like it. We got a question / comment for Patrick. Says Dominaria United was my first pack that got me into collecting cards last fall. What's the best way to fully get into MTG? The learning curve seems steep for entry players. It's a good question. I mean, it was so long ago that I got into it. But you know, first of all, I think playing online is great because you learn all the rules and stuff like that, and online cards are cheaper. Like, granted, you don't get the actual like pieces of cardboard, but if you think about it, you're just getting cardboard with art versus basically an NFT. It's like almost the same thing. I
explained to the people,
right? It's almost the same thing. So I think playing online is a really good way to learn. If you have friends who play, definitely try to get in with them. Otherwise, you know, if you have time, you know, go to card stores and do drafts. I think that's a good way too.
Yeah, definitely drafts are sealed because they're pretty low entry level as far as money goes. And then, you know, you don't have to like worry about like complex like deck interactions. You're just playing from the current set.
Right.
I made a mistake once I had an ex-girlfriend who wanted to play. She knew I was into Magic and she wanted to get into it. And I literally, at the time, I was really into Modern, and I literally handed her like my Modern Jund deck.
Mm-hmm.
And she like, you know, this is probably 8 years ago. So it was like Liliana and Dark Confidants and Armagoyfs and like Hand Attack and all this stuff. And like, she clearly had like, this is not working out. So I went and I bought like 2 of the old dual decks. And I played them with her just because you can't hand someone like a modern deck or even a standard deck probably, but I wouldn't play standard at all.
I've had this conversation with so many people. Standard is just it's just a way to get money into the company's pockets, which I don't blame them. You know,
they're trying to make the current cards matter.
Right. I mean, they're trying to make money, but it's such a ripoff because we've seen, you know, in Standard where cards are like $30-$40. Remember that one dragon that was like 4/4 flying protection from or like Storm Dragon, or like Goblin Rabble Master, which was like $25, and it's probably, I don't know what it is now. It's probably like $1 or $2 now.
I got a funny story with Goblin Rabble Master.
Okay,
my cousin, we don't see him very often because they live pretty far away, and it might have been like 3 or 4 years in between seeing him. And so 4 years ago, I saw him, and he plays Magic, and he was trying to build a modern Goblins deck, which I'm not even sure if that's a thing. And he goes, I just need the Rabble Masters for it. And I had the same thought. I'm like, they were expensive back when they were in Standard. I can't believe they're probably, I didn't look into it, but they're probably cheap now. And then fast forward to 4 years later, like this last fall when I saw him, he goes, yeah, I'm still building that Goblins deck. I just need the Rabble Masters. I'm like, dude, like just
wow.
The deck's not even good. Just buy it's like $12 probably, and you got 4 Album Masters.
It's probably cheaper than that at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's standard is such a ripoff. Remember, like the flip Jace was like $80.
Mhm.
It's just insane. I definitely would not. I'd get into Commander. Actually, my nephew is turning 9, and I thought about for his birthday, which is coming up next month, just building him like 2 Commander decks.
Mhm.
Like tribal deck, like just beginner stuff, nothing complicated. So like he can get into it because like he's been into like chess and stuff like that, and like he's really gotten into reading like history. So like you might have another Civil War reenacting buddy in like what 10, 12 years.
Cool.
Yeah, but he's like super into history and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
there's Gettysburg behind me, the map
Right.
of the battle.
Right. So yeah, he's like I said, like he really wants to play chess all the time. So I'm like, this Magic is kind of like chess, you know.
No, I'd say that's a pretty. I actually try to explain it when people say, "What is Magic?" Yeah, obviously, it's a card game. I thought your explanation was pretty good in the beginning, but I do say it's like chess but with cardboard.
Yeah, for
Each
sure.
piece does it. Each piece moves a certain way. You know,
Yeah.
turn based.
Yeah, and you kind of have to try to figure out what your opponent has too. Like, do they have removal? Do they have a counter spell? It's kind of like poker too. There's like that
Yeah, some
element to
bluffing
it.
too.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this next card. I don't know why this is a rare, but Metropolis Reformer. It's 3 mana, 2/3 Angel Cleric as flying and vigilance. It says you have hexproof, and whenever it is dealt damage, you gain that much life.
So flying vigilance, you have hexproof, and worse lifelink.
Yeah, basically. I mean, yeah, it's like I don't know. Like, can you like redirect damage to itself and make it indestructible? And it seems like there's no way I would ever play this card. Like even if you're playing like a janky Angel Tribal deck in Commander, like does this even make the cut? I don't see it. I mean, there are better ways to give yourself hexproof. I don't see it with this card.
No, I mean I could see someone putting this in some random Commander deck. I don't think it's that great though.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we need
It's
to
not like god awful. I've seen a lot. It has, I mean, flying and vigilance is nice. Giving yourself hex, it's not awful, but no, I'm not going crazy about it either.
Yeah, I don't know why it just doesn't say flying vigilance lifelink. Like
it's just worse lifelink. Like it's weird.
Yeah, I don't get it. All right,
next. It's so weird too because imagine you're playing someone with this and they really need to gain the life.
Right.
Well, you're at like say you're at 12 and they're at 2.
Mm-hmm.
And they swing at you. Well, just take the damage.
Right.
Don't let them gain the life, and then
there's no swing there. I don't know why they did this. You have hexproof parts, nice, but if this had flash, it'd be awesome. Just basically counter a spell that's hitting you. But
someone attacks you with some like giant Crater of Behemoth boosted thing.
Yeah, or if like someone casts Thoughtseize on you, or not that happens in Commander, although like in 101 Commander it does. Like you flash this in, you have hexproof, haha, like your Thoughtseize is fizzled,
I misunderstood. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking more like someone attacked with like a 15/15, flash it in, block.
Oh yeah. For sure. Yeah, you can gain a lot of life that way for sure. But yeah, this doesn't have flash, so I don't know why we're talking about that.
All right. Better. That's what we're talking about.
yeah, exactly. Next card, Spark Rupture. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So that gives me some interest. It says each planeswalker with 1 or more loyalty counters on it loses all abilities and is a creature with power and toughness equal to the number of loyalty counters on it. So there's 2 ways to view this card. The one is that it's a planeswalker hate card. You could turn your annoying Renin 6s or Teferis into creatures, which you could then kill, or even if you don't kill, they can't activate their abilities. But there are also some planeswalkers from a recent set a couple years ago that had high loyalty and only minus abilities. Like there's one Kiora that has 7 loyalties, so it's a 3 mana. So you can play this, you can play Kiora and then play this. You draw a card and make Kiora 7/7. Which is, I don't know if that's worth it. Like the fact that it draws a card is interesting. I don't think I'd ever play this card, but I think it's better than the other Planeswalker enchantment we saw.
Yeah, so the Planeswalkers don't lose their counters, right? Like,
yeah, it says 1 or more loyalty. Yeah, so they don't actually lose their counters.
But each Planeswalker with 1 or more loyalty. But wait, so each Planeswalker with 1 or more loyalty Lose abilities. So your example with the cure with the 7/7, it wouldn't be a 7/7. They have to have one or more. I'm sorry. Okay, I got it. Read the card, Dave. That explains the card. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I think it's a Planeswalker hate card. I'd rather just run hard removal.
Yeah.
Kill or exile the Planeswalker. And then I'm not playing Planeswalkers to make a 7/7. So even like, what's the Kior's casting cost? Do you remember?
It's a 3 mana.
So for 6 mana, you're getting a 7/7.
And you draw a card. It's not great. It's not great. I would never. I wouldn't. Like I said, I wouldn't play this, but I like this better than the other enchantment.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a low bar here. All right. Next card, Tazri, Stalwart Survivor. It's a legendary human warrior. And you can play this as a 5-color commander because there's 5-color abilities. So it's a 3 mana 3/3. It says each creature you control has tap, add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors. Spend this mana only to activate an ability of a creature. Activate only if this creature has another activated ability. You pay 5, tap, mill 5 cards, put all creature cards with activated abilities that aren't mana abilities from among them. The mill cards into your hand. This is a lot of text.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm reading this as if you're making this a commander deck, it's a activated tribal deck, activated creature tribal deck. Right. You want your creatures to have non-mana activated abilities, so when you mill them, you get them back. And then you want his ability to actually allow you to do something.
Yeah. I guess you could build an interesting deck that way. I just don't know. I mean, you have to untap with this because it's an activated ability unless you can give this haste. So I don't know. I don't know.
That's a lot's janky. I'm just thinking because it's tap, right? It's not just like So you're like most creatures with activated abilities, not most, but a percentage of them have to tap to activate.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, so like you can use your other creatures to get mana to use this creature's abilities, this ability, and then but you have to still spend 5 mana to tap it and just put cards in your hand. And like, what if you whiff? Like, what if you get like 4 lands and like a removal spell? Like you're gonna feel so bad just paying 5 mana just to do nothing.
Yeah, this is bad. That's a bad card.
Yeah. Let's move on. This is an uncommon. I thought it was interesting. 3 mana instant. Return all non-creature, non-land permanents to their owner's hands. So 2 things in mind here. 1, this gets rid of all treasure tokens.
Yes.
2, if you could do something where you bounce all your like 0 and 1 mana artifacts, and to kind of like build up your storm counter. So like this is like 2 things here. So I think this is like either a combo card or just like a hate card to get rid of treasure tokens, which like some people think are a problem in Commander, but I don't know.
Like there's a million things that make treasures.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I thought this is interesting. Gets rid of all mana rocks. Not that that's a big deal because you can just recast them next turn. But it does get rid of your own mana rocks. It bounces them back to your hand. So it is an instant though. I think this card is kind of interesting. I don't know if I'll ever play it, but it's like something to consider at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's playable. I mean, depending, like especially if like you're like a mono blue mana deck, like removals. Not that they have printed better removal recently, and there are some removal options. But like you might be stuck on a removal spell. Yeah, I could see where this matters. Like it's not like you can bounce planeswalkers.
Right.
Yeah, you can do a lot with that.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Next card, Training Grounds. This is a reprint. It costs 1 mana. It's a blue. Enchantment. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. This can't reduce it to 0. So this is like Hardened Scales, where I think like if you have this turn 1, you can have like a really broken start and like do like some broken things. But it's a terrible top deck. So that's how I feel about it. Like Hardened Scales is though, like it's easier to get working because there's more, plus and plus encounters. You don't have to pay mana to do anything. Just like creatures enter the battlefield with plus and plus encounters.
Sure.
Whereas this is like, it's a tough build around, because like if you build your commander deck with a lot of activated abilities, like what if you don't get this card, in your hand? Like it's just it's kind of rough. But I still think it's a good card.
It's a good card. I used to have this card in my Slivers deck before I rebuilt it, and now it's Now it's a first slivers deck with I'm not trying to cascade into this, so it's not in there. But this card allowed me to go. It was an infinite combo with Sliver Queen, and if I had that, like it was like a 4-card infinite combo. That's why it also wasn't worth either, because it was Sliver Queen, one of the mana Weth or Gemhide Sliver, and one that gave him haste, and then you just tap infinitely and make infinite Sliver. So if you had like enter the battlefield effect or Lava Belly Sliver in play, you could win the game on the spot. That's now a 5th card for the combo. So it wasn't like a 2-card real clean combo, but it was nice, and because of the way it's 2, reducing by 2, it also allowed you to tutor with Overlord for 1. So no, it was a good card. It's just not. It was it's like you said, it's a bad top deck. It's probably like when you're making cuts, it's like the 99th, 98th card in the deck.
Yeah,
but
I think this would be better in Modern if Modern wasn't so fast and like unforgiving. Like if Modern was a slower format and you can have 4 of these in your deck, it's kind of like Hardened Scales. But like Hardened Scales, you can go fast and kill your opponent. Like this is like more of like, all right, set up. I'm going to do some broken stuff eventually. But like you can't do that in Modern. They're just going to get run over. So it's kind of like, I feel like this is a card that doesn't have much of a home. Like it sees, like I imagine sees fringe play in some commander decks, but just doesn't really see play anywhere else.
Yeah, I wonder what its percentage is. Well, we can look that up. But
yeah. All right. The other rare in blue is Vesuvian Drifter. So it's a 3-mana 2/4 flyer shapeshifter. You may look at the top card of your library anytime at the beginning of each combat. Not just your combat, each combat. You may reveal the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, it becomes a copy of that card until end of turn, except it has flying. So like the dream is in Modern, you reveal Emrakul from the top of your library and attack with this as 15/15 flying and Annihilator 6. Obviously, there's no maybe not obviously for those who don't play Commander, but like Emrakul is the best creature or the strongest creature. It just costs so much mana. It's not legal in Commander, but I could see like
Ulamog is like stuff like that.
Right.
Is like you could
exactly like you can build like a blue Tron deck sort of in like Eldrazi deck in Commander and have this and just have a bunch of Annihilator cards and like try to do that. And like with blue, you can manipulate the top card of your library with like Jace or Brainstorm. There's a lot of other cards that do that too. So I think this is a pretty cool card. I think this will definitely see play.
Yeah, no, definitely. I like it. 2/4 flying is nice. Like you said, you can kind of like basically cheat. Like for 3 mana, even if it doesn't have haste, even if it's just on your turn, you play it, you pass, and your opponent attacks into you. If it's Ulamog there, like there's utility here. It's neat.
yeah, it's cool. It's each combat. I think that's pretty cool. All right, we get to the black card.
Bluff with it, right? Like, please don't attack me because
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, if you brainstorm something like, all right, go to combat. All right, brainstorm. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. All right, we get to the black cards. Ayara's Oathsworn's 2 mana, Human Knight 2/2 menace. When it deals combat damage to a player, if it had fewer than 4 +1/+1 encounters on it, put a +1/+1 encounter on it. Then if it has exactly 4 +1/+1 encounters, search your library for a card, put that into your hand, then shuffle. This is like the longest way to get a demonic tutor ever. It's just like obviously
it also costs the same as a like mana cost,
right?
Of a demonic tutor.
This reminds me of like Mir Superion, which is like you remember this is like the ghetto Tarmogoyf in Modern, where like you would try to like cheat it into play to get a 2 mana 5/6. Like this reminds me of that because there's no demonic tutor in Modern. It wasn't printed into Modern. But like you're never going to play this in Commander because you're just going to play demonic tutor, and like it's so much work to get it to 4 +1/+1 encounters. Like even Hardened Scales, like you have to do that twice. You have to hope it doesn't die in the process. It has to deal damage too. I know it's menace. So this is the hardest. Like it just seems so much work. Just play demonic tutor.
Yes, yeah. I guess like it's a repeatable demonic tutor. Like if you keep it with 4 counters on it, every time it hits, you get the tutor.
No, because it says if it has fewer than 4, you put a +1/+1 encounter on it. So it has to have 3, and then you put a plus and plus counter on it. And like once it gets its 4th, you get the card, but then that's it. Like you can't, unless you can find a way to remove the counters.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay. No.
Then that's even more convoluted. Just you could play Wish Claw Talisman.
And in black, how many good tutors are in black?
Exactly.
This was a color that had like bad tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
If this was a red card.
Yeah.
Like maybe, but like how many better black tutors are there that are legal in Commander?
There's so many. They just printed a creature that's like a 6/7 flyer, 7/8 flyer that has Convoke, and then you search for a card. It's even better than Demonic Tutor because it doesn't go in your hand; it goes into exile. I forget what that card is called, but it's there's just so many ways to search for cards. Obviously, this is not meant for Commander. I probably like it's like I said, every other format, right? Every other format doesn't have this. But still, it's just so convoluted. I think it's just way too much work to get a Demonic Tutor effect.
Yeah. Not only is this episode of yours probably pretty narrow for your audience, we're making it more narrow by being pretty much talking about Commander cards.
Yeah. Right, exactly. All right, let's move on. There is this uncommon is interesting. It's already seen play in Modern. Markov Baron, 3 mana, 2/2. With lifelink is a vampire noble. It has Convoke. It also has Madness for 2 and a black, and it says other vampires you control get +1/+1. So this is seeing play in a vampire deck with like Chalice of the Void and Bloodghast and stuff like that, like different ways to discard cards. So you can discard this and Bloodghast and like get free vampires and like kind of go aggro.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it's kind of interesting. Any creature with Convoke is good, or a lot better than it is normally, and it has Madness, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I mean, it makes your Bloodghast like 3 power, and they keep coming back. So I think this is a pretty good card.
Yeah, no, if you're doing a Vampire Tribal, something like that, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Modern needs a 1 mana vampire, and then I think it'll be pretty good. I say pretty good. And I just forgot that Fury and Solitude exist, but if they didn't exist, it'd be pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, next card, Urborg Scavengers, 3 mana, 2/2 is a spirit. When it enters the battlefield or it attacks, exile target card from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 encounter on it. It has flying as long as the card exiled had flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So this is like there's a creature that does that too. It's much better though because it has Delve.
Delve, yeah, I can't remember the name of the creature, but
right,
same thing.
Right, same thing. But that happens all at the same time. The problem with this card though is like it's a trigger. So when it enters the battlefield, exile a card, and that goes on the stack. So if you try to exile a card with Hexproof, someone could just hit this with Lightning Bolt and it's dead. Whereas that other card, Grim Flyer, I think that is. Yeah. That comes in with Hexproof if you delve the card with Hexproof. So like that's a huge difference here. But then again, like this exiles any card from a graveyard.
That's what I said. You could play this more as a graveyard hate, where the first one, like you don't have to build your deck around this card as much, right?
Right.
The Grim Flare, you had to build a deck that was going to make delve work, put stuff in your own graveyard, and then have your own cards in your deck to make it worth to delve it, to give those abilities to it. This could just be played as like a graveyard hate, right? So even if you weren't even targeting something that gave it an ability, but just targeting a card you didn't want your opponent to have in their graveyard.
Yeah. The problem is it only happens once, or when it attacks, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have haste unless you delve a card with haste. So it only happens once. So like this, like Scavenging Ooze is the same thing. It's 2 mana, and then you pay 1 more to exile a card. So different color. I understand that. Still though, I don't think this will see much play.
No, I don't think it's like amazing. I could just see some like weird. I could see this being played. It's just not going to be like it'll be like 1-2% of decks will run this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mono black decks, but they need some graveyard hate.
Yeah.
Well, you said like if you're in green, there's better options for graveyard interaction than this. like
Yeah.
Scavenging is, for example,
Right, exactly.
or Death
Uh,
Wishing.
Next card is Arnie Metalbrow. It's a legendary human berserker, 3 mana, 3/3. When a creature you control attacks or a creature enters the battlefield under your control attacking, you may pay 1 in a red. If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value less than that creature's mana value from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. So it's not this creature attacks, it could be any other creature. So if you play a 2 mana spell, then you play this for 3 mana, you attack with your 2 mana creature, you could put a 1 mana creature into play that's attacking. I don't know. I mean, you have to play 1 in a red. Never mind. So you can't even do that turn 3. So, I don't really see it here.
No, it's especially in red. There's a lot of other like dash cost spells and haste creatures with haste. Like there's easier ways to kind of go aggro.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is very good. Next card is Plarg and Nasari. It's a 5 mana legendary creature, Orc Efreet, 5/4. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. An opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way. You may cast up to 2 spells from among the other cards without paying their mana cost. So this is pretty rough. Like, if it works, it might be really good. Although you don't get the best card that's exiled. But it has to. It's just at the beginning of your upkeep, so like it has to last a whole turn cycle. It's just sitting there, and everyone knows it's going to be a threat. So like everyone's going to try to remove it, and so if they do, you just spent 5 mana for nothing. Maybe just a 5 mana blocker. So I don't see this seeing play. People might try it, but I just don't think it's very good.
Yeah. Spells like that, I think, are just overly complicated. People see that like, oh, it's a free card. But like you said, it's just like so slow to do that.
Yeah, there's
5 mana, you get a 5/4, and then the following turn you get the card your opponent let you have.
Yeah, there's a 7 mana a creature that they just printed. It's called the Tali. And it says it's like a 7/6 too. And it says like when it enters the battlefield, exile the top card from every library, and you may cast those cards from exile. Yeah. So like 2 mana more, and you get a better creature, and you get to use those cards.
So this,
even if it dies.
I'm understanding it. So you play this if it's in a commander game. You and your 3 opponents all exile a card. Then an opponent. It doesn't say opponent you choose, right? So just an opponent.
Yeah, I guess so.
Picks a non-land card, exile this way. So, like you said, the worst of the 4.
No, they take away the best of the 4. So
I mean, you get the worst.
You get the 3. You get the 3 worst. So like you get the second, third, and fourth best cards, and then you can cast the second and third best cards.
Right.
So I don't know. Like I said, this has to last a whole turn cycle for this to work, and you don't even get the best card exiled. So
yeah.
I think
right. It's there. All right, yeah. It's not even on entering. It's when you play and you have to wait a whole. It's not.
Yeah, you have to wait for your upkeep. Yeah. Maybe in an extra turns deck. I think this is pretty bad. Okay. Leyline Immersion. So it's 4 mana enchantment. Enchant legendary creature. Enchant creature has ward 2 and has tap. Add 5 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast spells. This is like a great way to get 2 for 1 and like lose the game. But if you can stick this and you can have a way to untap that creature, you can make a crap ton of mana. Yes. So there's a ton of upside, but there's also lots of downside. I'm not a green player. Like I have like 10 commander decks and like only one of them has green in it. So I'm not like interested in these cards, but I don't know. I don't like untapping and tapping shenanigans either. So it's kind of lost on me, but I can see its potential.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, it's not. Yeah, you have to enchant a legendary creature.
Yep.
Which is limiting.
Commander,
right? So you should have a legendary creature. Giving it ward is nice. Like if this was like green and 1, enchanting creature gets ward 2. You probably see a little, like it's not great, but you may see a little bit of play. But that's why it gives hexproof to stuff too. Like, never mind. Yeah. No, I mean it's all right.
You have to do this in some broken fashion.
Like, this like Yeah, you have to do it and then basically make infinite mana somehow. Tap and untap
Yeah,
it.
like a green blue deck that has like Kiora's Follower, which is like says a tap untap target permanent. And yet I say blue because I feel like you need free counter spells to protect what you're doing. You need like Force of Will, Force of Negation, stuff like that. Otherwise, you're just getting blown out here. So
Yeah, if you
yeah,
were like in like blue green, like you could go infinite with this with a couple untapping stuff. Like what's the one card like freed from the real?
yeah. It's yeah.
I was just looking it up. So you can go like infinite with it. But like, yeah, you don't play this to just kind of give a creature ward 2
Right.
and tap it once a turn. Like, you're doing this to make infinite mana and then play some obnoxious thing and win the game.
Yeah, that's basically what this is. And
So if you're doing that, I'm fine with it. It is
yeah, right. That's not my style play though, but people like that kind of stuff. So I imagine this will see play in that fashion.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, next card. So Nissa Resurgent Animus. So this set is basically the planeswalkers have lost their spark. So some of these planeswalkers have turned back into creatures, and Nissa is the first one we're seeing. 3 mana, 3/3, legendary elf scout. When her land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. Then, if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal an elf or elemental card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. I think this card's amazing. Like it's
Mana
loaded,
doubler.
right? It's Lotus Cobra, which is like 2 mana, 2 mana 1/1. I think that does the same thing with the mana with land entering. But this is like also any fetch land triggers this twice, and so you get a free card, either elf or elemental. And like it's you reveal it until it's not like reveal the top card of the library if it is elf or elemental put in your hand. You just keep revealing until you get one. So like you can get a really good card out of this if you build it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this card is awesome. If I played green, I would definitely jam this in all my decks.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a mana doubler, and then it's card advantage.
Right.
So if you're playing some kind of weird, not weird. Well, I say weird only because there's a lot of elf decks, right? But if you're playing like an elemental deck, where consistently, actually you don't have to do it consistently because you keep revealing it until it happens, right? So you could have like 10 good elementals in the deck, and you're gonna get one of them at one point.
Or you know what, you can have only like 2 or 3 elementals, and like you make sure you get a great one. Like Avenger Zendikar is an elemental, so like you just put that and maybe a couple other elementals in your deck, and you're guaranteed a bomb. Like, I think this card's awesome.
And it's so easy that you said like just you have to do it twice in a turn. That's so easy.
Oh yeah, with the fetch lands and everything, and there are also cards in green that allow you to play multiple lands per turn. It's just this card's amazing. I think this is the best card we've seen so far from the set. Let's move on. Open the Way costs X green sorcery. X can't be greater than the number of players in the game. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X land cards. Put those land cards onto the battlefield tapped, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any random order. There are a lot of cards like this. This is like a landfall type of card. I'm sure people who are playing landfall decks will have some interest in this.
Yeah.
It seems okay. It's not much to say about this. It seems fine.
No, I mean, like, if you're playing again in Commander, right? So you get 4 players. You do X is 4. You get 4 lands for 6 mana.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, if lands matter when they enter, like the card we just looked at, you can do something with this.
Yeah. All right. Tranquil Frillback. It's a 3 mana dinosaur 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay green up to 3 times. When you pay this cost, or 1 or multiple times, choose up to that many. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Exile target player's graveyard. You gain 4 life. There are so many better cards like this.
I was going to say there's cheaper ways to do all. I don't care about the life gain really. There's cheaper ways to do the first 2. So for 4 mana, you're exiling the graveyard, which is fine. Like in the story chart, like in reclamation stage, how many things in green do that?
Yeah, there's Night of Autumn. Yeah, there's just so many ways. I don't know. It's nice that you can do all of them, but then it costs
Yeah.
so much mana.
Yeah, so for 6 mana, you could destroy an artifact or enchantment, exile a graveyard, and gain 4 life, and get a 3/3.
Well, some people love the gain life. Unless you're in a dedicated life gain deck, there's no reason to do that. Yeah, I mean, like if you're in a pinch and you need some life, um, it's fine. It's like a nice bonus. But like I don't know. Like like you said, there's so many other cards that do this. Like Endurance is 3 mana, 3/4 flash that exiles target player's graveyard. Just play that. Play Rex Sage. Play Night of Autumn. Lorraine, although that's white. Like you said, there's just so many ways to do this. Are we getting the multicolored cards? So Calyx, Guided by Fate, has Constellation, which is triggered every time an enchantment enters the battlefield. When it or another enchantment enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. When Calyx or an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a token that's a copy of non-legendary enchantment you control. Do this only once each turn. I guess it's kind of interesting that you get to you copy an enchantment. Obviously you copy an aura, you put it on something. It seems okay. I don't know. Like I'm not a big enchantment player. I don't know.
I mean, there's like Enchantress decks and stuff and it is an enchantment itself. So if you're in like one of those decks where things get triggered when enchantments enter, this is probably okay.
Yeah. I don't know. There are better green white like Sithis, I think it's called. Like that's a great commander. I don't think you'd play that over this.
I'm not saying it's a commander, but it could be part of the 99.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Danitha, new Benalia's Light. It's 1 green and white. 2/2 legendary creature, human knight. As vigilance, trample, and lifelink. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an aura or equipment spell from your graveyard. It's a weird color combination because like green and white is like I guess there are ways to get stuff in your graveyard in green, Satyr Wayfinder or stuff like that. But like, it's not like a great way. It's not like a great color combination to get stuff in your graveyard. So like you have to have stuff in your graveyard for this to do anything. Otherwise, it's just a 3 mana 2/2. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of this one. But
I think this card makes Legacy Humans playable.
Legacy Humans.
Yeah, is that good?
I was gonna say Legacy Knights, but Legacy Humans too. Yeah, I don't really see this getting much play. So let's go to Jirina, Dauntless General. It's a white and a black. So maybe Luris. When Jirina enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. You can sacrifice her to make humans get hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. I think this is cool. I think this is pretty cool for it. Like, it's nice to have a graveyard hate card that you can repeatedly cast with Luris. I say that because I have a Luris deck.
Yeah.
So I would definitely consider this in my Luris deck.
Yeah, it's a good colors for that. It's got, I mean, it's basically Selfless Spirit for, plus hexproof for humans, though, right? So
yeah.
But I don't think you're playing it for that in your Luris deck. Like you're saying, you're playing it just for the graveyard shenanigans.
Yeah, so maybe even Modern Humans plays this as in their sideboard, against graveyard decks. Plus, like it doubles as protection. If you're playing against Fury and Solitude, like suddenly you can help your humans survive. So yeah, I think this is pretty decent. I would consider putting this in my Luris deck. I like playing Nile Spellbomb instead, which does that, which exiles graveyards and draws a card. Plus, it's like easier to find. But I would at least consider this.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. Jal Real, Voice of Zolafir, 2 mana. I don't know if I said that right, but 2 mana, green and a blue, 3/3 legendary human druid. At the beginning of combat on your turn, up to one target land you control becomes an XX green and blue bird creature with flying and has haste, where X is the number of cards in your hand, is still a land. Whenever a land creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. That's pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
You send your lands to your opponents. Just got to make sure that you don't have one card in your hand and your opponent has a discard spell and instant speed that makes you lose, that kills your land right away. But otherwise, like I think it's pretty decent. You do it right away. You don't have to wait. So I kind of like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, as you're doing this, a lot of cards that, like, lands matter. It's kind of I'm not sure there's a theme of the set, but there's like 3 cards out of the last like 5 we talked about have been like a lands matter kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and they're, this is green blue. The first 2 are green. So I'm not sure if they're trying to like force that kind of deck in Commander or Modern, not Modern, Standard, but
yeah,
it's playable.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, the Kenrith's Royal Funeral, 2 white black enchantment, legendary enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target legendary creature cards from your graveyard. You draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the greatest mana value amongst cards exiled this way. It says legendary creatures you cast cost 1 less to cast for each card exiles with Kenrith's Royal Funeral. So I mean, you need legendary creature cards in your graveyard. That's the only drawback here. You can't just like, oh, I'm going to cast this on turn 4 and get and draw however many cards. But like
exile to 2, right?
Yeah, up to 2. Yeah. So
you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Or mana value. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it's up to great. Yeah. So like if you mill a I don't know, like an 8 mana demon, you could draw 8 cards and lose 8 life. Not that like beginning players might be like, why do you want to lose like 8 life? But like you want to use your life as a resource. Drawing the 8 cards could win you the game. So if you can make this work, like entomb Villas or that other demon, that other 8 mana demon, Razzle, whatever it is, Razzlecut, yeah. Entomb that and then cast this, and you draw 8 cards. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, I think. There's also going to be games where this is just stuck in your hand and does nothing. But yeah, I think this could see play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kiora, another planeswalker turn creature, Sovereign of the Deep, 3 green and blue, legendary creature, Merfolk Noble, 4/5, Vigilance, Ward 3. When you cast a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, or Serpent spell from your hand, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the spell's mana value. You may cast a spell with mana value, mana less than X from among them. Put them on the bottom of your card in random order. So like the first thing I think of, like the suspend cards, you can cast them for free. But then the next thing I think of is like, how many Krakens, Leviathans, Octopuses, and Serpents are there that are castable? And you have to actually cast them. Like the fact that this says Ward 3 is huge, because you're probably going to have to wait 1 turn, unless you're like really ramping. This is green, so you can really ramp into this. I don't know, like if there are enough Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, and Serpent creature cards out there worth casting, this could be good. I just don't know if that's the case.
I never searched those creature types.
I have never either.
But yeah, I suppose if you have a Kraken deck or a Leviathan deck, there are other ones. Like, what's that one? Is it Scourge of Fleets or something? Or what's the one that like returns everything but Krakens and Leviathans to your hand?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that goes in this deck that doesn't exist because there aren't good enough creatures. Maybe there's gonna be a underwater theme set soon in the coming years that'll make this card really good. The source of changelings, though, by the way, and not just changeling creatures, like those like the cards that have like changeling on them that have instants of sorceries.
Yeah,
that works too. But yeah, I don't know. But you needed to have a high mana value because you want to reveal X cards. So never mind. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't think this is there yet, but like maybe in the future this could be a good card. All right, next card, Nahiri, Forged in Fury. 4 red, white, legendary core artificer. 5/4 affinity for equipment. When an equipped creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. You may cast equipment spells this way without paying their mana cost. I don't know. It's like I'm not a big equipment guy. I run Sword of Feast and Famine in almost all my commander decks, as well as like Lightning Greaves and Shadow Spear, and like that's the extent of my equipment play. So I don't think I'd ever play this.
Yeah.
If I were into equipments, I don't even know how good this would be. It's nice that you can cast it cheaper if you have a lot of equipments on the battlefield, but
it sounds like it's a weird like Voltron build.
You know? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I'm not really into this.
I'm not a fan of Voltron decks, but
yeah, I don't. Well, ever since Shadow Spear was printed, this made Voltron decks so much worse. Remember that red, white, green commander deck I had that was Voltron and had like the creature had a hexproof, and one of our friends had a he put like a land in his deck that was specifically for that for my commander. And then they knocked him out early, and he was like complaining about like why. And I was like, dude, you put a card specifically for me. Like I had to knock you out. So like I used to play that, but like now I ran into that online, and I just got Shadow Spear with a tutor, and he was just done because like I could just remove the hexproof from it and just kill his creature.
Yeah. No, I don't think Voltron's that great of a strategy. But actually, it's funny you bring up that story because those guys still talk about that.
Do they really?
Yeah. And Walt knocked him out for no reason on turn 5.
This is like 7 years ago. There's still That's funny. Well, I don't know. Like if someone puts a hate card in their deck just for you, I think it's fair game to knock them out.
The only issue I think why they jokingly I'm not sure if they're joking, but why they complain about it is that was back when we played like 7-person commander.
Yeah,
like a 7-person pod. So you knocked him out in like the first like half hour, and then we played for like 3 more hours after that.
That's true.
So
he was waiting a while. I felt bad about that aspect of it. I'm like, dude, just don't put. It was like I forget what the card was even called. Like you would never play this card. Like he just he's like, oh, Walt has a hexproof commander. Let me put this land that makes creatures lose hexproof in my deck, like for no reason. But I don't know. Whatever. Nahiri's Resolve, 3 white, red enchantment. Creatures you control get +1 and have haste. At the beginning of your end step, exile any number of non-token artifact and or creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next upkeep. Yeah, so this is like upgraded Conjurer's Closet, which sees play. It's 5 mana. That's a 5 mana artifact that exiles 1 creature and returns it back.
Okay.
This gets rid of this exiles everything, even artifacts. I don't know. I mean, there are some artifacts that have ETBs, but you mostly want to do this for creatures, and then you get the ETB triggers, and you get the bonus of +1 and have haste. This is really good.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think haste is really underrated.
Yeah,
I have like, excuse me, if you can put haste in the deck, I think that really just changes the clock. Obviously, obvious statement's obvious. No, yeah, I mean, if you're doing some kind of like EBT deck, this is pretty great.
Yeah,
like Urion, how you say that weird bird that?
Yeah, Urion, bird servant.
Does this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to wait till your end step, but like this is an enchantment, so it's like
you can play it on like you don't want to. You want to do it, yeah, because you want to do it on your pre-combat main phase. Play some creatures, swing, and then it's still on the same turn though, right? So
yeah.
That seems fine.
Yeah, like I said, Conjurer's Closet sees play. It's a 5 mana, same mana cost, and it only exiles 1 creature. This exiles every creature you have, and it does it every unstep. Conjurer's Closet does too, but it exiles every creature. It seems like really good. Urion's the same mana cost too. It's 5 mana. Yeah, and this gives the bonus of +1 and haste. Like this, I think this is a great card. Narset, Enlightened Exile. So this is a creature, then Planeswalker, and a creature again. A 1 blue, red, white, legendary human monk, 3/4. Creatures you control have prowess, which you can have double prowess. When Narset attacks, exile target non-creature, non-land card with mana value less than Narset's power from a graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copied spell without paying its mana cost. Again, 0 suspend cards you can cast for free and from any graveyard, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter if it's spend cards, right? You just cast it without paying its mana cost regardless.
Right. Yeah. This is really good. It's not as good as the other one, the 6 mana one that can end the game when it attacks. But this is a pretty powerful card. I feel like you can build a deck around this. You can mill a lot of the suspend cards into your graveyard and just cast them. So I'm a big fan.
No, I like it. I could see this being commander, actually, build a deck around it completely.
Yeah, I think so too. Like I said, creatures can have double prowess, so this could be like an aggro card, or you can set it up to cast like broken stuff. It's pretty cool. Nashi Moon's Legacy. It's a Sultai blue, black, green, blue. Rat Shaman 3/4 as Menace and Ward 1. When it attacks, exile up to 1 target legendary or rat card from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast this copy. I don't think there are any green or blue rats, which is it's a weird color combination. But like the fact that you can exile up to 1 target legendary card, it's just like that's kind of neat. As Ward 1, I could see this being a commander.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's a little janky, but seems fun.
A little janky, yeah. You could finally build your rat tribal commander deck that has 3 colors. Like I said, I don't know. It's weird. Like, what are you gonna do with the green and a rat deck? Just ramp, like
ramp, and it's fine. You do mostly black deck, and you just splash in green and blue for ramp and interaction.
Yeah, it's true. All right, Niv Mizzet Supreme. It's 1 of each color. Legendary creature, dragon avatar, 5/5, flying hexproof from monocolored. Each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard that's exactly 2 colors has jumpstart, which is you discard a card and then pay its mana cost to cast it. It's not as good as the other Niv Mizzets.
No, but that's
it's a high bar. I don't know. It's like it's hexproof from monocolor, so like it's harder to kill than normal. Solitude doesn't get it. It seems okay. I'm not like a huge fan of this, but I think it's a fine card.
Yeah, I mean exactly 2 colors. So you're building a deck around that. I mean, it's all right.
Yeah,
I'm not crazy. I'm not like blown away, but it's fine.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I mean, I can see someone making a commander deck around that, but it's not. I don't think it'd be a great commander deck, but it'd be playable.
Yeah, the other Niv Mizzet deck is there are 2 other Niv Mizzets, like the red and blue one and the one that's all colors. Those 2 are so good. It's kind of like really pales in comparison, but I don't think it's that bad. All right, Ob Nixilis, Captive Kingpin. So Saffron Olive, who's I was kind of surprised that he's actually for those who don't know him, he's a big time Magic streamer. He contacted me and he's like I never knew you play Magic. And I was like, oh, I never knew you read the site. So like it's kind of cool that he's a reader of the website. So he's a great streamer. I definitely recommend anyone watch him. But I mentioned him because he was super excited about this card. So Ob Nixilis, Captive Kingpin, 2 black and red, legendary creature demon, it's a 4/3, flying and trample. When 1 or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life, put a +1/+1 counter on Ob Nixilis, then exile the top card of your library until your next end step. You may play that card. So fetch lands is just like triggers this.
Yeah.
So like in response to casting this, everyone's going to crack the fetch lands. He said it was like a really cool build around commander that's like super powerful if you even get going. I mean, I think it's an interesting commander for sure.
Yeah, and especially in those colors, like there's plenty of aristocrats effects that you could put into a deck just to keep pinging your opponents and triggering that over and over again. Right? Because it's not once per turn. So if you can just you lose a life, lose a life, lose a life, lose a life. you put 10 counters on this thing. Have 10 cards you can play.
Yeah.
And then just keep, and then like it's something they have to deal with, right? Like if all of a sudden you have a 14-13 flying trample that's coming at you in Commander, it's like
yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Like, I'm not a fan of like dedicated Voltron decks, but this is like an accidental Voltron.
Yeah, no, I think there's literally a Aristocrats theme deck that if they don't deal with this, you kill them with it. But if they're dealing with that, they might just die from not blinking out, but like sacrificing a bunch of tokens or stupid Shadowborn Apostles. So that's that dumbass deck.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. All right. Anyway, Pia Nalar, Console of Revival, only costs red and a white. 2/3 legendary human artificer. Thopters you control have haste. When you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 Thopter artifact token with flying. Obviously, it would have haste. Why? Who cares? Like, why do your Thopters need haste? If this is like Thopters you control get +1/+0. I think it'd be kind of interesting because like suddenly like 2 power flyers like constantly coming at you is like pretty good.
Yeah.
Is
this Chandra's mom? Is that or dad or something? Is that the theme?
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of her cards, like the Planeswalker cards, have like remove the top card of your library and then you may cast from exile. So I guess like there's a lot of effects like that in red.
Yeah.
Where I guess maybe you can make a lot of Thopters in a turn.
Yeah, you need there's like there's a tempered steel. It's a 3-mana enchantment. It says artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. Yeah, so you put that in your deck. Suddenly you have 3/3 flying hastes creatures, which is like kind of decent. But I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of work for 1/1s,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this, but
I can see, like you'd be surprised. You might see it. I don't play a lot online. I'm not sure online how many times you just see like random, like clearly they built this deck just to prove they built something different.
You see some crazy decks online for sure.
I saw a random deck. It was actually kind of interesting. It was is it Morophon, that elemental that's the 5 colors?
It's a changeling that's
changeling. I'm sorry, it's the elemental. Yeah, changeling that's the 5 colors, and that was the commander, and it was a bringer deck.
A bringer?
Bringer. There's 5 bringers in Magic.
Wow. Okay.
And all of them have like weird effects, but they all have like there's one of each color, but all of them have like you may cast for Wooburg, so they're free with Morphon in play. And I asked the guy like, "Why'd you build this deck?" He goes, "Oh, I built this deck because he has all the it's like Blue Sun Zenith and all those cards." So that it was the Dayman deck from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, so like the bringer of the sun. That's like what he kept saying. I think that deck was as good as you could think it would be. So I could see someone like building this deck just to be like, "Oh, I'm going to make 15 Thopters in a turn," or try to break this. I don't think it's that great, but I guess you want to do that to have fun with it.
Yeah, I like breaking it means like making like 15 1/1s.
Yeah, there's definitely some commanders that like you can't. They're just not going to live up power level wise, right? Like this isn't going to be a top tier commander, but
yeah. This goes well by the way with Ob Nixilis because you deal 1/1s right away. You deal 1 damage right away with them.
Oh yeah,
but different colors, so you can't run this in the Ob Nixilis deck. So
no,
unfortunately,
just take a Sharpie and make the planes
yeah, you might be able to get away with that. All right, rebuild the city. 3 black, red, green sorcery. Choose target land. Create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except there are 3/3 creatures in addition to their other types, and have vigilance and menace. Like the first thing I thought about this is like you can copy Dark Depths, that you have to sack 2 of them for the legendary rule. But then I was like, it becomes a 3/3, not the 20/20 or whatever it is. So like, what's the point?
Yeah,
there's got to be something here. Maybe that one desert card that always makes zombies every time a land comes in. Like that's maybe that. There's got to be something with this card, but it's 6 mana though, so it's got to be like there has to be, like I said, there has to be some kind of combo. I can't think of one off the top of my head though.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know, for 6 mana though, right? Like
You can
maybe
copy
I'm like
eight.
to
You,
take things too seriously. I think like you should be like maybe there is a win the game combo
yeah,
for 6 mana, right?
you can copy Cabal Coffers and have a crap ton of mana.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there is something. All right, Rocco Street Chef. We have 5 more multicolor cards. Rocco Street Chef, legendary elf druid, costs red, green, and white. It's a 2/4. At the beginning of your end step, each player exiles the top card of their library until the next end step. Each player may play the card they exiled this way. When a player plays a land from exile or casts a spell from exile, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature and create a food token. This is like this. I mean, people. I don't know why people love playing group hug decks in Commander. I don't know what joy they get out of it, but I never understood it, and I'm always like, thanks for letting me win the game. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
And like, and first of all, there's that, and like, second, I don't trust these people. It's like, why are you letting me win? It's kind of like the Magic version of like the email you get from the Nigerian prince saying, "Hey, if you send like if you if I send you $1 million, you can keep 10% of it." It's like, okay, yeah, it's like, all right, why are you giving me this free stuff? I don't trust you. In fact, if I see a group hug commander online, I will try to kill them right away. I don't trust them at all. So um
What is your
I
suspicion that they're trying to like people won't bother with me because I'm giving them free cards every turn, so
yeah.
I'll combo off out of nowhere.
Exactly. Or I'll do something broken eventually. Just like, don't bother me. I'm giving you free stuff. Uh, yeah, I don't trust these people. They've got something up their sleeve. This at least, like, if you can do something with the food tokens, but I don't know. Like, it's like you're giving your opponents way too much stuff. You're giving them a card every single turn,
Right.
which is just, and it's not just one opponent; it's every
And,
opponent.
and then so in Commander, your opponent's getting 3 cards, you're 1.
Right. And it's beginning of your end step. So unless it's an instant, they're gonna play those cards before you can play your card. Um, so this is like, so this is bad on so many levels. But
Yeah, so you play it out, and on your end step, everyone exiles a card.
mhm.
Yeah, then everyone gets the free card before you get to come back. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, I was once playing a game online. I was playing Chainer, which is like a crazy graveyard reanimation deck, and I had like a bunch of well, this guy was playing a group hug commander, and he had a bunch of like draw cards for your opponents, stuff like that. So
Mhm.
I had like all these huge demons and like archons in my hand, and like, and then he played a card that says like each player puts all their creatures on the battlefield from their hand, and like, okay, and so like I put all these crazy demons out, and then I went right after him, and like I won the game on the spot. And the like one of the other guys is like, "Well, this is not fair." I'm like, "Well, I had no responsibility for this. Like, I was just given this. I was given this board state. What do you want me to do?" So I don't know. I guarantee I'm going to see this card a lot online, because for some reason people like to play these cards. Like I said, I don't trust these people at all. Like I'm the one hater of group hug commander decks. I don't trust them at all. So I will kill them right away.
Fair enough.
Okay, Samut, Vizier of Nakanumutum,
Sure.
1 green and red. Samut's another planeswalker. 2/3 legendary human warrior cleric. It's kind of weird combo. First strike, vigilance, and haste. When a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, if that creature entered the battlefield this turn, draw a card. That includes itself. So yeah, I mean, haste tribal, I guess. You were talking about how haste is underrated, so yeah, I mean, here's your haste tribal commander. I think this is pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of upside. Drawing a card is so good. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, no, for sure. I like it. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, it's aggro, right?
Yeah, aggro and card advantage is like, it's
Mhm.
I don't know why this, it's kind of weird. It's like warrior cleric. I think that goes with Samut, but
It's
yeah,
actually funny with the cleric creature type. Like I have that Aetherios deck,
mhm.
and it's almost cleric tribal. You don't realize like how many creatures have cleric like stapled to it for no reason. Like, oh, this
Yeah.
is a cleric as well. Okay.
Yeah, there's some really good like cleric stuff, like lands and stuff like that too. I know there's like one card that's broken in your deck, like it says like clerics cost white and black less, so that you can
All my
cast like
clerics are
all your
free. Not all of them,
right,
but
right, all
most
your
of them.
cards are free. And I was like, oh man, yeah, like that's a card you play. I'm like, um, And I'm thinking like if it's just one-on-one with us, like I'm not going to say anything, but like if it's other people, I'm like we have to get rid of that or we're going to lose. You know?
I remember the one time I played you with that deck. Jimmy was there, your brother-in-law was there,
Mm.
and I played it and then just started like dropping Shadowborn Apostles for free.
Yeah,
and that's when he was like, "Oh wait, it does that." I'm like, "Yes." And that's when you're like, "I told
funny.
you to kill it 2 turns ago."
Yeah. And I was like, I have no removal for this. Please kill it. Yeah, it's so broken. Yeah, it's unfortunately this is the wrong color.
It is, yeah.
It's not like your creatures don't have haste anyway. So but yeah, I mean, if you want to build haste tribal, you finally have your commander.
Mhm.
Sarkhan's Soul of Flame, 3 mana. It's 1 blue and a red. Legendary creature, human shaman, 2/4. Is another planeswalker. Dragon spells cost 1 less to cast. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Sarkhan become a copy of it until end of turn. Except this name is still Sarkhan Soul of Flame and it's legendary. So like the reason that for that text is like if you play a legendary dragon, it won't
Right.
legendary roll itself. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool. Like there's some really good blue and red dragon cards. So they don't need to have haste, but like I think it would be nice if they had haste because you can attack with both. And like kind of like there's a dragon that's 5 mana and it makes a treasure every time it attacks, so you can make multiple treasures. So Goldspan Dragon, I think it is. Yeah, I think this definitely has some upside. I don't know, like this would be a cool deck to build around. I think I'd be interested in building a deck like this online. Actually, I think I'd look into it. I like this.
Yeah, so you're basically giving the dragon, unless it has haste already. Like if you play this on turn 3, and then turn 4 play a dragon, now it basically has haste.
Yeah, basically,
Because you're
and
attacking with a copy of it.
yeah, and it's costing 1 less too. So your Goldspan Dragon costs 4 instead of 5.
Yeah.
And also there's a dragon out there. I think it's like 7 mana or something. It's very expensive and it doesn't have haste. But it says like when it deals damage to a player, you make a 6/6 flying dragon token. So yeah, that does that too. So I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah. You could definitely see some build deck around that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I might do that, or at least try. And I'll probably get bored. I'll probably get bored after like 2 games, but there are certain decks I could keep playing, like Lurrus. I love playing Lurrus nonstop. But like I'll build like sometimes I'll build a deck and like play it twice. And I'm like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So that's why I like online because you don't have to keep ordering cards, you know.
Right.
All right, we have a new Sigarda, Font of Blessings, 2 green and white as flying. It's a legendary creature angel. 4/4. Other permanents you control have hexproof. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast angel spells and human spells from the top of your library. Go ahead. I can't talk right
now. Given other things hexproof, other permanents, generally all other permanents good. Hexproof, that's great. Yeah, I think this is a good card. You can what is it, Realm? What's that it's 2 and green Realm Walker? Am I thinking of the right card? So it's basically Realm Walker for angels and humans.
Yeah. It's funny that this ability, other permanents you control of hexproof. There used to be a card a long time ago. It's called Privileged Position. It's 5 mana enchantment, and it just had that text, other permanents you control of hexproof. And like I remember it seeing play. Now like they have this ability stapled on the like 4/4 flyers for 4, which is kind of like power creep. Yeah, I like this. It's kind of weird, just angels and humans. There's another Sigarda that interacts similarly. So I imagine this would not be your commander. This would be in the 99. But it would definitely see play in that deck for sure. So a decent card, not my cup of tea, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Last. So we have two more cards. Well, land 2. So we have 3 cards in total. Tyvar the Bellicose. I actually saw someone play this online.
Okay.
Two black and green. A legendary elf warrior. When 1 or more elves you control attack, they gain Death Touch until end of turn, which is not the important ability. This one is each creature you control has, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a number of +1/+0 counters on it equal to the number of mana this creature produced. This only triggers once per turn. So it's like I don't know. I was not impressed with this guy's deck, but he had this out there, and like he made his mana dorks like kind of big. I thought that was kind of neat. I don't know. It seems okay. It's like okay. I'm not a big fan of it, but like this guy made it work, and it's fine. I'm not a huge fan, but it obviously sees play. So
Did
I think
you
it's
make it
okay.
work, or did you beat him?
I beat it pretty bad. So,
Okay.
but he was better than the other guys too. So actually, he was probably no, he wasn't the worst player on the table. He was probably the second worst. Um, I don't know. It's like this card's pretty mediocre, but it's functional, I guess.
Yeah.
If you have like Bloom Tender and you can make it tap for like 5, you could turn it into like a 6/6 and then an 11/11, which is kind of neat, I guess.
Yeah.
But
The
I
problem
don't
is
know.
you're tapping them every turn to do it, right?
Right. Well, you're still making mana. Eventually, like you're
Oh,
making
true.
mana at first with your mana dorks, and then you're attacking. So it's okay, I think.
Hmm.
Right, we have one artifact, Karn Legacy
No, Karn again.
Reforged. Yeah. It's a 5 mana artifact, a legendary artifact creature golem. Its power and toughness are equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. So it's automatically a 5/5 at the very least. At the beginning of your upkeep, add colorless for each artifact you control. This mana can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells until end of turn. You don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. So you have to wait to your upkeep to gain mana. It's just like a 5/5 otherwise. Or I guess if you have like the dream, and I say dream loosely, if you have like Darksteel Forge, which is it's a 9 mana artifact that says artifacts you control have indestructible. If you have that and this on the battlefield, this is a 5 mana 9/9 indestructible,
Yeah.
which still gets solituded, and swords to plowshared. So I think it needed to have hexproof or something, or ward, or because like this has to go around the table, and then at your upkeep you get a lot of mana, presumably if you build the deck right. But the fact you have to wait your whole turn for this to work, it just seems so bad.
There's lots. Yeah. I mean, there are some colorless commander decks, right? So
Yeah.
I could see you making it work. But like you said, like you play this, like even if you had like the Dream Start and you play this out super early, right? Like say you had like Mana Vault Soul Ring, got out like turn 1 or 2.
Yeah.
But even that, like, I don't know. I don't think it's horrible, but yeah, I guess you need to do something with it, right? Like, but you can build a deck around it.
Yeah, I think you need
Like
to.
treasures, right? Like so, like if you, I'm not sure. Again, I'm probably mixing stuff together because I'm not sure if you can make how many colorless spells make treasures, but like they're all artifacts.
Yeah, I think you need to protect this somehow with like free counter spells or something, because you need it to last the whole turn, and I think it's a big target. Like you play this out, and people are like, okay, if we don't kill this, it's gonna make a ton of mana. So it's just like a sitting duck, you know. I like if it was like on your second main phase or something,
Right.
that would be broken. But like, I don't know. Like I said, I think this needed to have some sort of protection, like even Ward 1 or something. Um, I it is just too fragile. It's 5 mana, do nothing. There are just so many. There's so many other cards that are just better. Uh, I couldn't play this. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe someone will make it work with Darksteel Forge.
Yeah.
All right, we have one land worth mentioning. It's a rare. Branith Ruins. Tap to add colorless. You can pay 2, tap it to put 2+1/+1 counters on target non-human creature that entered the battlefield this turn. So Hardened Scales deck, kind of this belongs there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't really see, or yeah, any deck with Arcbound Ravager would be good. So yeah, I mean this will see play, I'm sure. But it's pretty specific. So like I wouldn't jam this into any deck and be like, oh, this is my value engine, you know.
Right.
But like if you're doing stuff with counters specifically, then I think this is a good land for that deck.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, that is it for the set. We made it through.
Right.
So, what are your impressions of the set overall?
It's fine.
That's fine.
I like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. I really liked that Nissa card. I think that was the best card we saw. Um, there were a couple decent cards in the set. There's nothing like I'm dying to like get my hands on. Like there's certain sets that come out where I'm like, oh, this card is awesome. Like, in fact, like I get into a zone where I'm like, I really want this card in my deck. I don't even want to play Magic until I get this card. There's nothing like that in the set because, like I said, I'm not a green player, but I like in the one green deck I have, which is the I forget what it's called, the Sultai commander that returns stuff in the graveyard. Like I would even consider
Muldrotha?
Yeah, Muldrotha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would even consider putting that in my deck, in even though it doesn't interact with a graveyard, just because it's so good. And I have Avengers Zendikar in that deck, and I don't know if I have too many other elementals. I have Endurance, and I have Muldrifter, and like getting those, I think would be pretty cool. So yeah, I like that card a lot. Otherwise, I'm not like crazy about anything here. They're like niche cards, like that humans the card that we talked about. That red white enchantment though is pretty good. That exiles all your creatures. I thought that was pretty decent. Otherwise, I think it's just I think it's a pretty subpar set. I guess we're just waiting for the next Modern Horizons to come out.
Yeah, well, I'm not trying to be funny, but that's basically all I wait for. I don't play. The only thing I really play now is Commander. Yeah, so unless it's a Commander specific set or like a Master set, I don't really get crazy with anything.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess that's about it. Unless you wanted to delve into something else, we can next time we have you on, we can like look at our Commander decks or something like that. I have I have so many Commander decks online. So I can like do like a deck tech or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
I mean, I got 5 paper decks. I have to get back. I have a Magic Online account. I haven't logged on in probably 4 years.
I'm waiting for you to get online so we can play these crappy Commander players and like beat them up.
I have to tell you, I enjoy playing in person.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm against online, but I go to like this card store near me, maybe once or twice a month, and the crap I run into is like it's just ridiculous. Like I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like some of the decks, like there's this one guy there, he likes to play some of the cards we talked about. He'd build a Commander deck around it because he seems to like to build decks to say he did it. Like he's not a bad player. He knows what he's doing, but like his decks just are capped by the crazy theme he came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just run into people that it's like, you're just like, your decks are bad, but thank you. It's funny.
Yeah, you see that online too. There are a lot of like it's a weird dichotomy online. Like there are some really good players online, like fantastic players, and then there's some dreadful players who don't really know what they're doing, which is fine. Like you're trying to get into it and like try to improve, which like I don't have anything against that. I just get annoyed when players play a card that doesn't help them win but helps an opponent win. Like for example, there's a card. If you forget what it's called, it's a 1-mana enchantment. It says all creatures have haste. And so like so like it is good if you play out a bunch of creatures out of nowhere and then cast it on that same turn to give your all your creatures haste just to kill your opponent out of nowhere.
Right.
That's how you should play that card. But people play this card on turn 1 and they give everyone haste. And I like there's the other player he was able to make like a bunch of zombies using I forget the creature that Snake Naga from it's this whole type creature I forget. It was able to make like a bunch of like 2/2 zombies or something like that.
No, Sidisi.
Yeah, Sidisi. And like all these zombies attacked. He made like 30 zombies because he was able to like put a bunch of cards in his graveyard. So like I actually like when he went to combat and attacked, or before he went to combat and attacked, I destroyed the enchantment. And the guy who controlled the enchantment, he's like, "Oh, that's no fun." So I used a spell of mine to get rid of a spell that you had that wasn't even helping you win. Actually saved that guy's life because he would have died in
Yeah.
the attack. And like he was complaining about it. It's like, well, dude, what are you doing? Like, just play like real cards or like the group hug players. Like I said, I've a real disdain for these people. I don't trust them at all. And like you see them like I'll say like once every 10 or so games online. You'll see a group hug guy, and I'm like, okay, all right, just give me your card, give me cards using your cards, and then I'll kill you. So that's how I feel. But I am eagerly waiting for you to get online so we can play together.
I'll have to get back on there then.
Yeah, the best thing about online, like I agree with you, like playing in person is better, but there are advantages online. Like all your triggers get stacked automatically, and you don't have to shuffle, which is like the worst. I think that's the worst aspect of Commander because you're shuffling like 100 cards.
Sure.
Like you just don't shuffle at all, obviously online, and like I think that's the best part. You just save so much time that way.
Yeah, I would say the worst part of like in person, I don't mind the shuffling, is people that don't know about that sort of stuff. Like, and again, you're learning the game, whatever. That's great, but they miss triggers, or they're taking so long to think through their turn because in their mind they're trying to do like step by step, and they don't realize like online it'll just do it for you. Right? You do something, right, and here's all your triggers, and you can move along. I was playing one time at the card store, and I literally like walked away from the table because this guy was just like, I guess in his head doing his like it was like a 10-minute turn.
Wow.
Like this, it was a 5-person pod. I'm like, can we please? I don't want to be here for 3 hours. I want to get the game in and out in an hour here. Let's go.
Yeah. It is faster online. You have a clock, and if you don't make a move in 4 minutes, you get timed out and you automatically lose.
Really?
Yeah, which like the only downside is if your internet goes out. But like it's a free game anyway. It's not like you pay for it, so you just like you get back online and just fire up a new game. So I like that aspect. Like no one has issues with the clock either. You have an hour to make your moves. And like I was even going against like a slow player, and he still had time. So it's like time's not an issue, but still like you need to do stuff. So
right.
I like that aspect. I also the other aspect I like a lot about online is that you could play games at any time and you could test stuff out like super quickly. Like you don't have to wait until you play in person. Like I'll test out cards and I'll see them a couple times and I'm like, all right, this card's not good. I'm not going to play it. So like that, it's like really good for testing. So I like doing both. I love playing in person, like I said, better, but online definitely has its advantages. So I definitely recommend that. We had like one question from Patrick earlier. If you're looking to get into this, I think that playing online is really good.
And the cards are a lot cheaper online.
Yeah.
Do you find that too, that the decks are generally better because there's less of a price barrier for people to get into it?
Yeah, you see a lot of mana crypts and soul ring. Well, soul ring is not expensive, but like mana crypts and a lot more. You see a lot of dual lands online. They're so much cheaper. I think they're under $20. Whereas like in paper, the original dual lands, the cheapest ones are like $300-$400 now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, online they're so cheap. There are a couple cards online that are expensive for some reason. I never understood why. Just put them in treasure chests or something. But yeah, like the barriers to entry online is so much less. So you definitely see stronger cards online. The problem is like online, you have a lot of bad players who play bad cards that help opponents win the game. So
I paper too. I mean, I was playing the other week, and this guy had this it was this creature, and it said whenever damage is dealt to any, like the way it read was, if damage is dealt to an opponent, it's doubled. If it's dealt to you, it's cut in half, rounded up to the, like whatever. Like rounded up, I think it was. And I had what's the green dragon one that attacks? It makes you treasure tokens.
2 treasure tokens?
Old Nullbone.
Okay.
I had that in play. And literally I was like behind. The turn prior, I played Meathook Massacre and like wiped the board. And this guy like basically played stuff out his graveyard and put that dragon into play. And no one dealt with Old Nullbone. Like he just sat there. Like I wiped the board. Following turn, I played Old Nullbone, and the turn around, no one dealt with it except one guy was like, "We got to deal with that stupid dragon. It's going to be a problem." And then I attacked with it, and because of that card, I made like 17 treasure tokens.
Wow, and that's insane.
And then just like played out some stuff and like won on the spot through like I have I'm blanking on the creature. I'm horrible with card names. I'm sorry. I'm blanking on. I have a creature in my deck that says whenever a token leaves the field, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. It's like for sick rats or just general tokens.
Okay.
And this is in my Chatterfang deck. So I made like 17 treasures, 17 squirrels, and just removed them all from the board and dealt like 34 damage.
It's awesome.
And he says to me, I remember he goes, "Well, doesn't my damage round?" I said, "Your damage is rounding, it's getting cut in half, so it's all half damage rounded back up to 1."
That's awesome.
Like, oh, because he goes, "Well, no, it's 34 damage." I'm like, no, it's 34 instances of 1 damage.
Right.
It's not 34 damage.
Right. Yeah. That doesn't work that way. You don't add the damage together and cut it down.
I remember like being like a smartass and like saying, "I'll back up here." I did it just to save time. I said, "Sack all 34, you lose 34."
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it this one. I'm doing it all one at a time here.
Right.
He's like, "Oh, okay."
That's funny. That's funny.
But I went from like literally being in last place to this guy playing that dragon out or whatever it was to winning in 3. And like I board wiped. And then he played that, and then I played Old Elbone, and then I went from being in last place in 3 turns winning, and it wasn't for his dragon in play. I wouldn't have won, so that's always fun.
Yeah, that's fun. That's pretty funny. Yeah, it's like another instance of someone's card letting an opponent win, which is like I highly recommend not playing those cards.
No, and like you mentioned earlier when we were talking about how like some players don't. Like they value life too much, or they don't understand it's a resource. I was playing this guy that had like a card that said whenever you play a land from your hand, you take 2 damage. Did I tell you the story already? Well, it doesn't matter. And
was any player?
Yeah, any player plays a land. So not like if you put it in the play, like casting a spell to put the land in the play, that didn't affect you. But if you just like played your land for turn, or if you had like expiration that allowed you to play an additional land, it triggered then. So on my turn, I went like 3 visits, and I grabbed the land. He goes, "Oh, that's clever. You're trying to avoid the 2 damage." I said, "No, I'm still playing my land for turn." And I said, "I would fetch right now and lava axe myself to like get my land in play. Like I don't care. Like, I'm not going to slow down." But other players were doing that. Like they're like, "Oh, I'm not going to like missing land drops on purpose, that sort of stuff." And I'm like, this is stupid. Like this is why you guys lost that game, because you didn't want to take 2 damage to play a land. Your basic lands became shock lands. Oh well, just do it.
Yeah, the only time you don't do it is if you have 2 life and you lose the game.
Right.
Life, like you said, is a resource that you have to use, and people like new players especially don't get that. Some seasoned players don't get that either. They put too much emphasis on life, and it's important. It's only important to have life so you can use it to get an advantage. And also on the flip side, I've seen way too many people, especially online, like even in competitive rooms. They do not pay for Mystic Remora or Ristic Study. And it's just like every time I do that and I get cards, I never lost. And like conversely, when I've seen other people do it, it's like someone will play Mystic Remora out and like someone will cast 2 spells to draw them 2 cards. I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, they just won the game because of that. And it holds up every single time. Like when the player wins the game, I always type out, let's pay for Mr. Gromora or a Risk Study next time.
Especially like if you're playing CDH, like those games are so fast.
Yeah,
you get someone 2 extra cards.
Yeah, you give the combo player the protective counter spells that you need to combo off, like,
right.
or you draw them into the combo. Like that's all that happens basically. You just don't do it. Like, and one of my I just built an Esper deck. I love this. I love this interaction. I'm sure you'll be a big fan when you see it.
Sure, yeah.
So I have Mystic Remora in this deck, obviously, because I'm playing blue. I also have Luris in the deck, so I could get back Mr. Remora every turn with Luris. It's just to keep drawing cards. It's worked fantastically every time I've done it.
You're a bad person. I have said it is true though, because you're a very good player, and then playing you, like I go to like play like other random people, and I'm like, oh my god, Walt's broken me. Like just the fact that like my decks are like built to like handle different things. Not that I'm like a great player, but I'm not playing CDH. But my decks, I don't know how like you hear online like the command zone guys did it, like the 1 to 10 power level scale.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect system. I'm definitely not like at the CDH level, but I'm probably like between 7 and 8 with most of my decks. And then I go out to like the card store near me, and it's like, oh, you're playing a pre-con.
Yeah.
Like one guy was playing like Wall Tribal. Like it's just like okay. I actually played my Slivers deck against those guys, and just because I was talking about like the barrier to entry, and one of the guys at the table said, "Oh, no one likes Slivers; they're expensive." Slivers are
really.
There are like Sliver Queen's expensive, but the deck's not cheap, but it's not like over the top either. Like I'm sure there are far more abusive, like cost-wise, decks out there.
I mean, Slivers is good. I'd rather see Slivers though than like elves, because like a good elf deck, not like a janky elf deck that has crappy cards in it, but like a crazy elf deck that combos off and draws a million cards,
like Elf Ball, and all of a sudden you're getting smashed with like 23 giant elves.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely don't want to see that, but I don't know. I don't think Slivers are expensive though. Maybe a couple.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, the Lords, like all the 5-colored ones, might be $30, 30 to 40. Sliver Queen's expensive. I think that's on the reserve list, but you don't need Sliver Queen for the deck.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, Sliver Queen's good. It's just it's not like one of your main cards though.
No.
Yeah, definitely. So we're up like an hour 40 at this point, so we should probably log off. Thanks for joining me. I don't know if you had anything to plug, but if you do, go ahead. If not, then Okay, so thanks for coming on. We'll have to do this again. In a few weeks or something, or maybe later in the summer. We do like I talked about before. We do like a deck tech, and we'd show like what cards I'm playing, and like kind of like talk about like what cards you shouldn't play too. I think that'd be interesting.
Sure.
So definitely thanks for coming on again. And like I said before at the top of the show, we're gonna have Jacob on tomorrow to talk about the week 1 lines. And please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for the merch store. I am wearing a Walter football hoodie. That can be yours as well. If you visit the link in the merch store, that would help us out a lot. Body Burner, thanks so much. Thanks for coming on, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you.